control. So one of the control can be even a button control. So to perform some actions, you need to click on this button control. So we have different states of how to use these controls. I have demonstrated all those three ways of using the button control in the session, and also given the coding for you all. So in first button, we used to register the listener. In the second button example, we used to use the on click XML event. And in the third button control, we used to initialize the listener in some variable and then give that variable for the event. So the three ways I demonstrated in the previous session. So this was the button control. The third one was the radio button control. I think you might be familiar with this radio button control because you might be seen in some of the websites where you'll be able to select only one of the option. You can't select all the options, but rather you'll be able to select only one of the options. Those kind of scenarios, you can use this radio button control. See, right now I've selected Java. If I try to select C++, the other one which was selected, that is Java, will be unchecked. So at a time, only one control can be selected, one radio button can be selected. So again, we saw these things in the previous session. So the next one was your checkbox control. So this is an opposite to the radio button control. Here you'll be able to select any of the options, any number of options. Either you can select everything or you can deselect everything. So there is no compulsory over here that you need to select at least one option or all the options. So it allows you to select multiple options. So that is the feature of your checkbox control. So the next one was your toast. So this toast is not a control, but it's just a library or a class being provided by the Android framework for displaying some messages on the UI screen. Suppose you have a text box and the user needs to enter minimum of 8 characters, but the user has entered some 15 characters. So when you click on the button, you need to validate the text box, right, whether the user has entered 8 characters or greater than 8 characters. If suppose the condition fails, so how do you indicate to the user that something is wrong over there? So in those kind of scenarios, you can use this toast message saying that please enter 8 characters. In the toast message, you can you can display that message over there. I think you might have observed in some of the apps they display this message, toast message. So this is short toast. You have long toast, which basically displays for little extra time. Next, positioning the text. You can position the text. I mean the toast message wherever you want, either top, left, bottom. You can give some margin and all those things. The next one, the most important was your edit text control. So basically in this edit text control, you can take the input from the user. It is an almost, it's an opposite for your text view control. Text view basically displays the information to the user. Edit text control basically takes the information from the user. So in this edit text, you have different versions available. You have simple text box, you have password, where if you inside the password box, if you enter anything, everything will be in the form of a dots. Next you have date, you have only phone numbers, and next you have caps and autocorrect. See here you can see in the my keypad, like once I start typing, it will show in this keypad over there, suggestions. So you have autocorrect feature and keyboard action. See, once I go for keyboard action, you can see that the action over here has changed. In the bottom right side corner of the mobile, you can see that arrow button is tick mark over there. So that indicates action send. See, if I place the cursor inside the phone number, you can see that the action is next. But if I place the cursor inside the keyboard action, you can see that the keyboard action got changed. Thing is, sometimes this Droid software doesn't recognize the devices. Just a minute. Okay, so this was the keyboard action. Next, you have the foreground color, like whatever you type, the color of it changes. Next, you have the background color. So these were some of the options in the edit text control, basically used for taking the input from the user. Simple. Next, in the unit 5, we saw the linear layout control. So in this linear layout, we saw how to display the controls either in horizontal or vertical fashion. Suppose you want to display the controls one below the other, you set the orientation to be as vertical. Suppose you want to display the controls next to each other, you set the orientation as horizontal. So in this way, you can categorize all the controls either in horizontal or vertical fashion. So basically, linear layout is nothing but whatever controls you give it linear layout, those controls will be arranged either in vertical or horizontal. I repeat once more, either in vertical or horizontal. Again, you can always embed the linear layout in another linear layout. It's something like nesting of linear layout. In programming languages, you might have learned about the concept called as nested for each loop, nested while loop, nested do while loop. Same thing, even over here, it's nested linear layout. If you have the requirement in such a way, then you can always nest the linear layout. It's not only linear layout, any kind of layouts, you can always nest it. So here you can see that the first three controls is getting displayed one below the other, where I set the orientation as vertical. The next set is orientation as horizontal. The next one which we saw was the relative layout. So in this relative layout, you can specify your positions where you want the control to be displayed. Either you can display the control in any of these positions which you can see on the screen. I think I've demonstrated all these things in the previous session. So basically used for putting the controls to a specific positions, left, right, top, bottom, center, right center, left center, something like that. You can basically position your controls on the screen. The next one was your table layout control. I think you might have seen the table control in HTML, where we basically create the rows and columns, and within the columns we put some data. The same thing, instead of table control, we have a table layout. So here you can create n number of rows and n number of columns. Basically a matrix format, n number of rows and n number of columns. And each and every cell can contain the controls like text view, button, edit text, radio button, something like that. The next one was your grid layout. So even this is similar to your table layout control, except that instead of table layout control, you need to specify the inside the table layout, you don't need to specify the number of rows and columns, but here you need to specify the number of rows and columns inside the grid layout. So probably if you just take a look at the code which I've given you for these two samples, you can understand what is the difference over there. The next one was your frame layout. system is getting disconnected. So we have the frame layout. Uh, I'll give you the links like where to download those things so that you can. There are a lot of samples available in internet. Probably I can share you all those links so that you can experiment on those samples. But I'll be sharing you those things at the end of the session. Okay, this was the frame layout control. So basically in this frame layout control, we saw like how to embed the text on top of the other controls. So here you can see in this frame layout control example, I have displayed the image to the entire screen, right? So on top of this image I'm displaying some information. So you can see in the top corner, top left corner, there is top text being displayed. Towards the towards the center of the screen in the bottom, you can see I've displayed one more text. So in this way you can use frame layout for displaying information on top of other controls, basically embedding the controls on each other. So this was the frame layout control. The next one which we saw in Unit 6 was the switch control. I think you might be familiar with this control. You might have seen in some of the apps. Like you can use it to turn on or turn off the states. So basically it has only two states, either on or off state. So here I've just given an example like you can use this control for turning on the music on or off, or you can turn off the switch Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, music, sound. So in all these kind of scenarios, you can make use of these things. So the next one was your toggle button. So the toggle button has only two states, either on or off, except that you can see only one of these states. See in the previous example in the switch, you saw both the states, either on or off. You can see it visually over there. But at a time, only one will be active. But in this toggle button control, you can't see both. But at a time, you can see only one. Either it should be on or off. So you can use even this control for the same purpose, but it completely depends on the scenario, like your scenario, which one to use or which one not to use. So even this thing, vibrate on or off, music on or off, something like that. So next you have the image button control. In the previous example, we saw the button control, right? Basically, when you want to perform some actions, when you click on something, when you want to perform some actions, you used to use the button control. But in button control, you can't put the images. So if you want to put the images inside the button control, probably you can use this image button control. Think I have some. So I'll just finish this little fast. Image view control. So in this image view, it's basically you just display the images. So you can display the images inside the image control. The last one was your progress bar. We saw the progress bar, like whenever you are downloading some information or uploading some information, you can indicate to the user like what is the status of it, right? So when you want to display the status of what is happening, like in terms of percentage, you can use the first example. Like right now, you can see 96 bar 100, 100 bar 100, right? So in those kind of scenarios, you can use this first example. But if you don't want to display the status and just show it like some background process is going on, then you can use the second, third, or fourth example. I think there is no much different. There is no difference between the second, third, and fourth except of the size. The sizes are different, except that all three are same. If you use a second, third, and fourth example, you can't indicate anything to the user. You're just saying to the user, like some background processing is going on, you just wait for some time. But an alternative way is you can use the first example, like the percentage, like 50% completed, 60 is completed, 70 is completed, and so on. So this was the progress bar control. So in today's session, we'll be starting about the Android containers. There are three parts inside the Android containers. So we'll be seeing through the first part. How in progress bar it will stop after 100 percentage. See, basically in the progress bar you might have seen in the coding which I've given. I've set the min and max. Sorry, I've not set the min, I guess, but I've set the max to be as 100. It's not in terms of percentage. Maybe you can treat it to be as a percentage, or else you can just leave it in the form of a number itself. But in the programming, I have written a code such that once it reaches 100, you stop the loop. See, I think you can see the coding Java file. There is a new thread which is being created. Inside a new thread, inside a for each loop, there is 100 over there. So once it reaches 100, that control will stop its animation, or the the for loop stops its execution. You just open the, if it is not stopping after 100 percentage, then you might have changed some piece of code. Probably I can just see this part at the end of the session. You please ask this question at the end of the session. I can answer to this one. Basically, you might have not stopping the loop over there. Okay, in this unit, you will be learning about some of the Android containers that you use in your apps. So at the end of this unit, you'll be able to recognize the most frequently used Android containers like ListView, ScrollView, and horizontal ScrollView. And also see how the syntax of each and every control looks like and how those controls can be referenced through Java. And of course, some of the attributes of those controls, which you have already seen in the previous controls. So the most frequently used Android containers are ListView, ScrollView, and horizontal ScrollView. So the first one, An Android ListView container is a view group that displays a list of scrollable items. An Android ListView is made up of group of items. List items are individual rows in ListView where the data is displayed. Any data in ListView is displayed only through list item. The list items are automatically inserted to the list using an adapter. I'll give you an example for this list view where you might have seen this one. Maybe you have seen this, but you don't know whether the output of that is being used using the list view control or not. The best example, you might have seen the Facebook app or the WhatsApp in your Android applications. When you, for example, WhatsApp itself, you see they display a list of contacts, list of chats or list of contacts in your app, right? One after the other. So that is being done using the list view control. There are different kinds of list view available, but those are all customized one. But the most simplest one Android provides is the list view control. So basically the list view control is used for displaying the information one after the one below the other. So basically inside the linear layout, you saw that if you put some 5 controls, all the 5 controls inside the linear layout will be in vertical fashion or horizontal fashion. But the linear layout should know that there are 5 controls or 4 controls or any number of controls. But for this list view control, it doesn't care about how many records are there, but rather if you give some 10 records or 20 records or 100 records, it will just display all the records in vertical order. You might have seen in this figure on the slide, like you have Android, iPhone, Windows Mobile, BlackBerry. So basically these are all just a string array, right? It's basically a string array or list collection. So you can just give that list array or string collection for the list view. List view will automatically display all the information in a vertical fashion. So that's what I was saying about the WhatsApp itself. You might have seen the list of contacts being displayed. So that is being done using the list view control. But only thing is that the list view control is being customized over there. Like inside a single record, you might have seen that left side image will be displayed, right side text will be displayed, date of last seen, right side something will be displayed. So you're completely customizing each and every item over there. So we'll see that customization of list view in other slides. But for time being, you can just understand that you can display some information using the list view. So if you have some 10 or 15 records or any number of records, you give all those records for the list view. It will display in vertical order, one below the other. There is a concept called as adapter, which will be seeing it. So this is the Android adapter concept. Android adapter is the bridge between the view example list view and the underlying data for the view. I'll give you an example. Now you have an app, right? Next, where is your data? If you want to display the data, where is your data? The data can be in different places. The information can be in different places. Like the information can be either in your database, local database, or it can be in your server network. Server, or it can be inside your array or a collection, right? But it is not displayed on your front end. That is nothing but the UI screen. So if you want to give your collection or data or information to the UI screen, then that needs to be done using the adapters concept in Android applications. I repeat once more, if you want to give some data, the data can be in any places. So if you want to give that information data to the UI screen for displaying it, then that needs to be done through a mediator. That mediator is nothing but the adapter concept. So basically the adapter acts as a bridge between your data source and the adapter view, which is nothing but the list view control. Or the adapter acts as a mediator between your data source and the UI control, basically the list view control. So whatever you need to display it, you need to give first to the adapter. The adapter then handles the data to the list view control or the adapter view control. An adapter manages the data and adapts the data to individual rows of the list view. It binds the adapter with the Android list view using the set adapter method. As I said you need to give your data source to the adapter. Next, you need to give this adapter for the list view control using the set adapter function. I'll explain you this function when I'm explaining the code. To interact with the view, adapters call the getView method. Suppose now the data source has some 10 employees. You are given the 10 employees information for the adapter. Next, once the adapter handles the data to the list view control, the list view will start displaying the records. When it first finds the employee record 1, I'm just giving an example of employee records. It can be anything. So when it finds the first record employee 1, it will call the getView method for creating that view. Understood? If there are some 10 employees, there are 10 employees will be given for the adapter. Adapter will give the 10 records for the adapter view. So when adapter view again starts displaying that records one after the other, when the first record comes in, then it will call the getView method. The getView method will actually display the items. So again I show you this getView method while explaining the coding for this list view control. The getView method returns a view for each item within the adapter view, which is a list item. So every time when an item is being created, it keeps calling the getView method. For example, if there are 20 employees or 20 records, then this getView method will be called 20 times, because every time when the getView method is called, only the item is being created or the item will be created. So if you don't call, actually you don't need to call the getView method. The ListView will automatically call the getView method. Inside the getView method, you need to decide what needs to be displayed over there, right? Suppose you don't want to display some information and you want to display only the name of the employee. So in that kind of scenario, you need to write the code inside the getView method such that you display only the name, or else you display only the age. So in something like that. So inside the getView method, you need to write the code and display the information. But the getView function will be called by the ListView control. The frequently used attributes of a ListView container are, you have ID. See, this ID we already saw in the previous example, right? I mean the previous session, sorry. Like if you want to access these controls inside the Java file, then you need to declare a control name or a variable name for this control. So that's the reason we'll be using this ID attribute. You can specify the layout width, you can specify the layout height. We saw all these things in the previous session. So it is almost the same for all the Android controls. We have the divider. See, this divider, I can explain you right now itself. See, in this output, in this figure, you might have seen that in between the Android and iPhone, and again iPhone and Windows Mobile, and again between Windows Mobile and BlackBerry, between each and every records, there is a divider over there. That white color line you can see, right? So that is nothing but the divider. So you can set the height of the divider, you can set the color of the divider, and so on. So that is nothing but the dividers. Okay, as I said, you can specify even the divider height. Next, we have the some of the methods for the list view container. You can add the add footer view, you can add the header view, you can set the divider manually through Java, you can set the selection, you can set the adapter. I think the three things are not much used, except the last one, set adapter, which will be seeing in the coding. The first to add header view and add footer view. So probably once I explain the list view control, you can you can experiment like how to use this header view and footer view. If you just Google through, you will understand like these controls. I mean, it's not a control; it's just a concept which is being part of the list view control. So before displaying the records in the list view control, you can add some header. After the records are being displayed, you can add some footer. So in those kind of scenarios, you can use these two functions, add footer and add header. So to design the graphical user interface of the app, you can either drag and drop the list view container, list view control from the container, or else you can start typing the XML code. So this will be your code for the list view. So you declare a list. I mean, you write the list view control. Next, you need to give a name for the list view. If you are accessing the control on the Java file, next you are given the layout with the layout height. So this was the list view control. Next, this is a simple list view control. So if you want to get the control reference in Java, then this is the syntax. In the first line, you might be seeing list view space object name equals to, you are getting the control through Java. And since this find view by ID returns you an object, you need to convert that object into list view. Basically, do a typecasting. So once you get the reference stored inside the variable list view, next here, next line, you are declaring an array, string of list of items. So this array has 4 records, basically A, B, C, and D. Next line, as I said you, if you have the data source, here the data source is nothing but the list items. I repeat once more, here the data source is nothing but the list items. You need to give the list items for the adapter by using the syntax. So you are using array adapter of string. String is basically, you should say to the adapter what is the type. So array adapter of string adapter list equals to new array adapter of string. You need to pass the current activity reference. So you can refer to that one by using the this keyword, this comma, and android.r.layout.simple list item 1 is nothing but the style of the item. So basically this is nothing but the style of the item. We'll see how to customize it as per our requirements. But this is a, since I said you this is a simple view, you can just make use of this simple style. Comma list items, where list items is nothing but my string array. Next, you need to give the adapter for the list view control. You can say that one by calling the set adapter function. You can say list view dot set adapter of adapter object, nothing but the adapter list. So in this case, the second line, string of list items, the declaration for the string array is nothing but the data source. Next, adapter is nothing but the adapter list. Next, the adapter view is nothing but adapter view, or list view is nothing but the last statement, list view dot set adapter. So you are declaring a collection, nothing but the data source. You are giving the data source for the adapter. Next, you are giving the adapter for the list view. So this should be the process whenever you are using the grid view or list view control. if you have some 10 records being displayed, and when you click on any one of the item and if you want to perform some action, then this is the syntax. You need to declare an event handler. Next, create an adapter view dot on item click listener object. Next, you need to assign it to the list view by calling set on item click listener. It's something like we saw for the button, right? For the button, we saw button dot set on click listener. Inside the button dot set on click listener, we set on click listener, right? Same thing even over here. Instead of saying on click listener, here you are saying set on item click listener. You please see that word carefully. It is set on item click listener. On item. There are 10 items being displayed. So when you click on any one of the item, it should invoke some function or some event. Some action needs to be performed. So in that case, you need to use this event set on item click listener. So basically that on item click listener is an interface definition for your callback to be invoked when a list item is clicked. So whatever you write inside the set on item click listener, whenever you click on any one of the items, the logic in it will be executed. Set on item click listener registers the callback to be invoked when a list item is clicked. The code to be executed when a list item is clicked is must be written inside the overridden on item click function. See, this is the syntax which you can see in this box. ListView is nothing but my control name, and next you are registering an event. ListView dot set on item click listener. Inside the set on item click listener, you need to call the new adapter view dot on item click listener. Inside the button, we used to say new on click listener, right? So inside the list view, instead of saying on click listener, you need to say new adapter view dot on item click listener. Remember this one. You need to say new adapter view dot on item click listener. Inside that, you need to override that function. On item click listener is nothing but the interface. So you need to implement the methods present inside this interface. So one of the method is on item click function. So I have overridden this method and you need to write some code. Like if you want to display some toast message when any one of the item is clicked, so here you can write the code within the on item click function. Okay, before showing this second control, I just show you the coding for one. Mm. So for this session, I've created a sample project which demonstrates all the controls. I'm just trying to share you the outputs. So the first control is your list view control. So this is your output. So you can scroll through the items. So here when I select any one of the item, I'm displaying the message WebOS clicked, macOS clicked, like this. So this will be your output for the list view. You give any number of records for the list view control, it will display inside the screen, and automatically that horizontal sorry, not the horizontal, vertical scroll view is enabled. You don't need to write specific code such that if the number of records goes outside the screen, you do something else. You don't need to do anything actually. If the number of records goes outside the screen, the list view control will automatically enable the scroller. See, if I can scroll through the screen. See, after this Unix, there is still some more records. If I scroll up, you can see the last record. So like this, you don't need to worry how many records are there. You just give all the records for the list view. Automatically, it displays the records. If there are more records and if it goes outside the screen, it will enable the scroll view control. So this is your coding for that list view. So the first statement here, I'm declaring a collection. Instead of using an array, I'm just using the list. You can use list, you can use array. Basically, all are nothing but the data source or the collection. So here I'm declaring the list which contains this records. Next, I'm getting the reference of the list view control. Next, I'm declaring an array adapter. You can see the code over here. Almost the same which I explained you in the slide. I'm declaring an array adapter object, nothing but my adapter object. Next, get application context. Either you say get application context or you can say just this. Both are fine, which basically gives you the current activity reference. So this comma your list style comma list. List is nothing but my collection name, collection variable name. So here you're declaring the collection. You're giving the collection for the adapter over here, and next you're giving the adapter for the list view. So basically 3 stages. You declare the collection, you get the collection or declare the collection, you do whatever you want, but basically the collection, next give the collection for the adapter in the second stage. In the third stage, you give the adapter for the list view control. So next, so now whenever you click on any one of the item, I repeat once more, you saw in the output, right, there were around 12 or 13 records being displayed. So when you click on any one of the item and you need to perform some action, then in that case you need to register the event. So here I have registered the set on item click listener. Inside the set on item click listener, you need to register the adapter view dot set on item click listener interface. You need to implement this interface over here. So once you implement the interface, you need to implement the you need to override the method on item click method. So inside the on item click method, you can write some code. So if any one of the item is clicked, this particular on item click is called. Now my question is, there are 1000 records. Assuming there are 1000 records, I clicked on 500th record. So how do I know which record was being clicked? Right? It is important to know which item was being clicked or which position the item was being clicked. So that position will be passed inside this variable position. So now I can say that I'm just displaying a toast message over here. So now I can say that ListView.get item at position of position. Now ListView control as in my case, right? So in that 10 records, I'm passing the position number. So it will get the value and then display it. So here you can see that ListView.get item of position, which basically returns you the string value, which was being clicked, plus click. So that's the reason you were seeing like Android click, Windows Mobile click, iOS click, something like that. So either you can say, I've given you three ways of implementing that one. So this is the first way. You can say ListView.get item at position, which basically gives you the record at that particular place. Next, you can also use this syntax, which have been highlighted. Everything is same except that instead of using the ListView control, I'm saying parent.get item at position of position. See, parent, in this parent also, it's nothing but the ListView reference itself, right? So you can also say parent.get item at position, which basically gives you the same result itself. So this is one of the second way. There is one more way. You can say list.get position. So basically list is nothing but my collection, data source. So either I can take it from the list, or else I can take it from the parent, which is nothing but the parameter, or else I can take it from the list view control. So all these three toast messages gives you the same result, except that it is being demonstrated in a different way. So this was your list view control. Next, I'll show you the XML code. So basically this XML code is very simple. This is my ListView XML syntax. For my relative layout, I've given some background color. Next, for the ListView control, I've given the layout width and layout height. Next, I'm giving my ListView control name as ListView item. Next, I'm giving the list selector. So you saw that whenever I select any one of the item, it was getting turned into some maroon color or red color, right? So that number has specified, I mean the color code has specified over here, the list selector. Next, I've specified the divider color also and divider height. So you can configure the things in like this. So you can see the output over here. Whichever selected, that will be in this color, and the divider color, I don't think so you can see. Probably I'll just copy paste the same color. Okay, you're still not able to see that divider. Yeah, now you can see that the divider color got changed, right? I'll increase the divider height to 20 pixels. See, you can see the divider. I know it's not looking nice, but just for your understanding purpose, I'm just showing you these things. You can see that divider height got changed. So you can just play around with these kind of examples. So this was your list view control. So the next one is just before explaining it through the PPT, I'll just show you the output. The scroll view control. See, now you have some 20 controls. Okay, you have some, it's not 20 records like what we saw in the list view control. It's 20 controls, 20 different controls. I have button, list view, radio button, checkbox, list view, again one more list view, again one more button, one below the other. Will the space be sufficient? No, right? It might go outside the screen. So if you want to display all the controls, then you can make use of this scroll view control. So in this example, you can see that there is some text views being displayed, right? So there are a lot of other text views, but right now it's getting displayed only as 7 items. See, there are totally 30 text views. but we were able to see only 7 text views. So the remaining controls are outside the screen. So if you want to make sure that all the controls are visible, then you need to put all those controls inside the scroll view control so that you can scroll and see those items. So basically everything is in vertical scroll view. You need to remember this one. So this is the scroll view control. It's very simple actually. Scroll view is a special kind of container that needs to be displayed, then you need to make use of the scroll view control. If the view's size goes beyond the scroll view, it automatically adds scroll bars and can be scrolled vertically. So as I said you the same thing, if the screen, if the size goes beyond the scroll view, then it automatically adds the scroll view. I mean, it automatically adds the scroll view can hold only one direct child. Remember this one, scroll view can hold only one direct child, meaning to say that scroll view can contain only one children. But inside that children, you can have any number of children over there. It's something like scroll view is a parent control. Inside a scroll view, you can have only one child control. The child control can be either any kind of controls or it can be a linear layout or a relative layout or anything. So the child control is a table layout. I mean, the child control is a linear layout. Inside the linear layout, you can have any number of controls. But directly inside the scroll view, you need to have only one parent. Sorry, one child. Next, you should never use a scroll view with a list view because they both take care of their own vertical scrolling. Remember this point. You shouldn't use the scroll view inside a list view. ScrollView supports vertical scrolling. For horizontal scrolling, use horizontal scroll view. So these are some of the attributes of the scroll view control: ID, layout width, layout height, scroll bars, and visibility. And that scroll bars attribute you can say whether it should be displayed or not. So these are some of the methods available for the control. Most of the controls we won't be using, but these are some of the methods available for the scroll view. So here you can see that the two controls have been highlighted: the scroll view control and the horizontal scroll view control. So the syntax for that one is this. You need to say scroll view control. You can give the layout width and layout height. Along with that one, you can also declare the variable name. So inside the scroll view control, you can put some child control. As I said, you the scroll view can contain only one direct child, and inside that child, you can have any number of other controls. So this is your scroll view control. And this is your horizontal scroll view control. See, the difference between the scroll view and horizontal scroll view is scroll view behaves in a vertical manner. And if you want to display the controls in an horizontal fashion, then you need to use the horizontal scroll view. I repeat once more, if you want to display the data in a vertical fashion, then use scroll view. If you want to display the controls in a horizontal fashion, then you need to use horizontal scroll view. But the syntax for both is same, except that the control name changes. Instead of using scroll view, you just say horizontal scroll view. I show you the coding for that two controls. So in this session, we saw some of the containers like Android ListView, ScrollView, and horizontal ScrollView. An Android ListView container is a view group that displays a list of scrollable items. ScrollView is a special kind of container designed to hold view larger than its actual size. As I said you, if the size goes beyond the screen, then make use of the ScrollView control. You should never use a scroll view with a list view because they both take care of their own vertical scrolling. Remember this point. Never use a list view, sorry, never use a scroll view inside a list view because list view has its own way of scrolling mechanism. It's already built into it. So you shouldn't implement both the features, right? Because the compiler might be in a confusion which one to take it and which one to neglect it. So that's the reason they are saying that you should never use a scroll view within a list view. Yes, I'm showing the demo. So the one which I shown you was the horizontal, sorry, scroll view. This is horizontal scroll view. Simple. This is horizontal scroll view. See, in this example, I'm just showing you button one. I mean, I've just put only the button controls. It can be any kind of controls and any number of controls. It can be button, text view, edit text, whatever is it. Whatever the controls is, it will display in horizontal order. There is a question, is there a way to enable scroll bar in list view control? That's what I said to you. You don't need to enable the scroll bar for the list view control because it is by default enabled feature. They have already built that feature, scroll feature inside the list view. So you shouldn't put one more scroll view inside the list view and make it confused over there, right? So it doesn't know which scrolling to act upon. So that's the reason you shouldn't use scroll view inside the list view control. Okay, you can disable that one, I guess. I think there is some property for the list view for disabling. I mean, the scrolling works, but that towards the end, you might see that bar over there. You can disable that feature. I think there is some attribute to disable that one. So the code, I show you the coding for that one. It's very simple. It's an horizontal scroll view. See, this is the horizontal scroll view. As I said you, the scroll view or the horizontal scroll view should contain a single children. Here you can see inside the relative layout, I have my horizontal scroll view. Inside my horizontal scroll view, I'll just add directly one children, right? Sorry, one child. That is nothing but my linear layout. I can't have two childrens over here. For example, something like this. This is wrong. See, once I start it will start to show the errors. One or more layouts are missing. See, you get an exception. Horizontal scroll view can host only one direct child. So scroll view and horizontal scroll view should have directly one child. So inside my linear layout, I've just put some buttons. See, Here you can see that I have some 10 buttons. Just copy pasted each and everything. So this is your XML code. And the Java code for this one, I'm not written anything. This was horizontal scroll view. The next one was your scroll view. See, inside my scroll view, I have the linear layout. So inside this linear layout, probably I can just copy paste that. So you can just copy paste this 10 buttons. You can see that all are in vertical, right? So you can see that screen size has been increased. When you start running the program, you can see that the vertical scroll view is enabled. Since you can't display all the buttons inside a single page, you get that scroll bar. But in this example, what I'm trying to demonstrate for you all is, see, inside this linear layout, I can directly put those controls. Instead of doing that one, I will show you a different way. But actually, in reality, during your applications, you can directly paste the controls over here, right? But instead of doing that one, I'll just show you in a different way. But when you are doing the apps, you can directly do this one. So what I'm trying to demonstrate over here is, in the example you saw that, see here, there is a linear layout inside the coding and the output you just observe. There is a linear layout, but there is no text view controls. But how come the text view controls are getting displayed, right? So I'm just demonstrating this feature so that it might be useful in other cases. So inside my Java code, I'm dynamically creating the text view controls. Remember this one. Inside the text view control, I'm dynamically creating the text view. Sorry, inside the linear layout, I'm dynamically creating the text view controls. Here you can see that I'm creating an array of text view. That is nothing but 30 text view controls. Next, I'm setting the layout params. It should be fill parent and fill wrap content. Next, I'm setting the text. Next, I'm setting the text size. Next, text color. Adding the text view, first text view for the linear layout by calling the add view function. I can say linear layout dot add view function to set the controls. So I'm dynamically creating the text view and adding it for the linear layout. So this is how you can do this. Probably most of the times we just put those controls in the XML itself. No, it you might always get a scenario where you need to do this kind of stuff, right? So that's the reason I'm just demonstrating over here, dynamically creating the controls. It's not that you need to create only the text view controls dynamically. You can actually create even the list view control dynamically, but it always depends on the scenario which one to use it, right? So this was the scroll view control.